Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another theme park obsession video. My name is Dylan and thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. As you can see, I'm back in the theme park obsession office on this very cold May gray type of day here in Southern California. It's like this all the time now. It's crazy. I hate it. But yeah, I figured today I follow up on the moving to Florida announcement video that I did a couple weeks ago now, I think. There was a lot of comments on that video, and it's like nearly impossible for me to get through all those comments. So I figured in today's video, I can address some of those comments and questions and concerns and all that kind of fun stuff. And then just kind of dive a little deeper into, just other things I'm considering in the whole grand scheme of things. So without further ado, how about you and I dive right in? Oh yeah, the move to Florida. It's going to be happening. And every day that kind of goes by, the more and more I'm really thinking about all my options. And that video had a tremendous response. So thank you for so much for watching that video. That definitely helps out. And I hope a bunch of you watched today's video, because the more people that watch, then the more I can save to make this move happen. Because YouTube is my full-time job. So I appreciate all the attention that I can get on these videos from all of you that watch my channel. So yeah, huge shout out to all of you. And huge shout out to those that left a comment on that video. There's like over 500 or 600 comments, and it's like impossible for me to get to all of them. I'm going to try to get to a bunch of them as much as I can. But yeah, I wanted to address some of those questions in today's video, and this was just an easy way to do that. And yeah, I'm definitely excited about the subject of moving. And one thing, let's just start off with one of the questions. By the way, I'm just going to let this thing roll. Again, maybe not too much editing in this one, unless I just get tongue-tied. But one thing a lot of people are wondering is like the time frame. Like, what am I looking at here? Am I moving next week or next month? I'm looking at probably after Halloween. I think after the Halloween season's over, or going into the new year in 2026, I think that's when I'm going to go ahead and do it. Because there's still a lot that's going on here for the summer and into the fall, and I don't want to bounce just yet, even though my body's telling me to. I think it's wise for me to stay. And then obviously I want to make sure everything's in order before I make that jump. I got to save a lot of money. So yeah, I need to create content and really get some cash put aside in an envelope to where I have a nice cushion to lean back on when I do make that move. Because some people may think that I have endless amounts of money, but the reality is no. I don't have a bunch of money. All the money that I make from YouTube, it goes right back into making more videos and paying bills and stuff. So yeah, that's why I really appreciate everyone that does watch the channel, because it keeps me afloat. So yeah, I got to post a lot of content this summer and into the fall in order to make this very possible. And it's very difficult here in California, because here in California, things are expensive. The thing that I do for a living is an expensive hobby. So yeah, I'm gonna be pushing out a lot of videos this summer, a lot of fun videos. I have some cool stuff planned, but yeah, the one big hurdle is just getting enough cash saved up. So I'm looking at sometime after Halloween into the new year. I think that's a good amount of time to get myself ready for a move like this. I have some stuff written down here from some of your guys' comments. One of them being, you should stay a couple weeks in Orlando to get the feel of it. Yeah, I plan on doing that. Hopefully, a couple more times before I make the final move. But for those that have been watching me for a while, I actually have already done that. I've been going to Orlando since 2017, and I've gone to Orlando a lot. And there's been a few times with my friends Katie and Spencer that we've stayed there for like 3 or 4 weeks at a time. Like, we've been there for a long time. So I've gotten a really good feel of it, and on top of that, my dad lived there for 2.5 years. He's in Idaho right now, but is planning on moving back to Orlando as well. So, I've had that experience kind of being there for long periods of time. So that part, I don't think it's going to be as much of a shell shock. But I do plan on hopefully making one more trip that's like, a doozy, like a 3-week trip to cover all the parks and stuff. But for me, I think I've done enough of that. I think I've gotten the general feel of it. I think I know that I'm very comfortable in Orlando. I've even gone outside of Central Florida. Like, I've driven to some other areas, and even when my dad moved to Florida, like, we were driving across country. So like I've seen what's outside of the theme park space, and then even just kind of locally around. Like I've driven to Cocoa Beach before. We've gone to that beach a couple times. So I'm kind of used to that area. And I kind of dig it because it's really the same stuff that I do here. There's really nothing too different that I'm doing in Orlando than I do here in Southern California. And that leads me to the next big thing people were talking about in the comment section. Living there is a lot different than vacationing there. And I completely understand that. That's with any destination. When I went to Tokyo, I absolutely loved Tokyo. Would I live in Tokyo? Maybe, but I got to spend a lot more time in Tokyo before I make that crazy decision. But with Orlando, again, it's a little different just because I've gone so many times, and what I do out there is just pretty much the same thing that I'm doing here in Southern California. I'm very lucky to have this as my job. I'm very fortunate that all of you love watching me and enjoy what I do, and I enjoy pushing out those videos. Like, this is so much fun. Like, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And my job is to go to these theme parks and all these destinations. So it's like I'm living out my passion. I'm super passionate about the theme park industry. I have been super passionate about it since I was a little kid. So it's one of those dream come trues. And for me, it's like, okay, well, I want to be around that all the time. And so what I'm doing here in Southern California is like, I'm at the parks all the time. I'm at Disneyland or California Adventure. I'm at Universal Studios, Knott's Berry Farm, or Magic Mountain. I'm at these parks all the time. I feel like the one that I probably don't visit very often is SeaWorld San Diego, and that's just because of the distance. I live in Los Angeles County, so it's a pretty far drive. But if I were to make the move to Orlando, you know, I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be going to the theme parks. I'm going to be living my passion out there because my job as a content creator here on YouTube is to continue pushing out content. And my content consists of going to theme parks. So I'm literally going to be doing the same thing. So for me, my life is a vacation. Like, everything that I do is pretty much a vacation. Again, I'm very thankful for that. So I don't think I would be in a position to where it's going to be any different than that if I lived in Florida. If anything, the way I'm looking at it is it's going to be a little less stressful because the parks are so close to each other out there. And I don't want to live so far out from the theme park space. I don't mind living in that hub in Orlando. My dad did for a couple of years, and I loved it. I thought it was cool. Like, I think that's cool to live next to these parks. I'm sure people in Vegas probably think the same thing, that love being next to the Strip. They live near the Strip. They're maybe 5-10 minutes away from the Strip. They probably love that. And that's why a lot of people go move to Vegas. And there's a lot of content creators that live out in Las Vegas that are kind of doing the same thing like I'm doing, but I'm just doing it with theme parks. So I know living someplace is a lot different than vacationing there. But for me, my situation is a little different because my vacation is my life and is essentially my job here on YouTube. And I think about it all the time. The one thing that really frustrates me here in Southern California is the distance between the parks. Because where I live, the closest parks to me are Universal and Magic Mountain. The furthest parks are Knott's Berry Farm and Disney. Well, furthest one is SeaWorld. Then it goes Disney and Knott's Berry Farm, and then the closest would be Universal Studios and Magic Mountain. Where, I have to sit in traffic for a long time. Like, even today, I had to sit in traffic for like 2 hours just to get down to Anaheim. And that's crazy. And I know there's traffic everywhere you go in this country, but in Los Angeles and here in Southern California, it's bad. And our parks are just unfortunately spread out a little bit more. Whereas in Orlando, if I live next to the parks, my commute is like way different. It's far different than what I would be doing here in Southern California. And it saves me money long term when I think about, the cost of commuting and putting miles on my car. In Florida, if I were to live, say, the Dr. Phillips area, or I believe it's Winter Garden area, or even in Kissimmee, where Disney World's at, we're talking like a 10-mile radius, maybe 15 miles at max, where all these parks are located. Like they're all within like a 12 to 15-mile radius of each other. Like it's all like in a bubble. So I mean, it's literally like the Las Vegas Strip. There's just casinos everywhere, and the same thing goes to with Florida. They're all right there. So I wouldn't be driving that far, and that to me is worth the move. That alleviation of stress is huge, and on top of that, the parks are more spread out there. So, here sometimes the frustration is, okay, well, it's crowded. Like Disneyland is packed today. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this video done or whatever. Or, sometimes I want to go on a ride. Some people think that I dislike Disneyland. That's not the case. I love Disneyland. I just don't like when it's shoulder to shoulder. And it's been crowded lately. It's been crowded for the past few years. And I would love to go on more rides than I usually do in the vlogs, but it's just hard to do that. And I understand it gets a bit busy over there in, Disney World, but the beauty over there is that I can, we could spread things out. If Magic Kingdom is packed and I'm not feeling it, well, you know what? Maybe I could just go over to Epcot and walk around and go on a ride or have fun over there. Like I have that option. Where it's here, it's a little bit more difficult. So the vacation is just my daily thing, and I just love how everything's so close to each other out there. It makes sense. And long term, it would save me quite a bit. It adds up. Another question is the weather. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the weather's pretty brutal." And hey, trust me, the weather in Florida, the humidity is next level out there. And like I said, I've been out there enough to know what that feels like. I've been out there during the summer for long periods of time. I've been out there, in the fall and all that. So like I know what the humidity feels like. And then I know the humidity dies down a little bit when we get into the winter. Like on my last visit, it actually wasn't that bad when I was out there. It was quite nice. It was lovely. So I think I'm used to the weather. And then when it comes to like the big storms and hurricanes and all that kind of stuff, I think I'm okay with that. I know as devastating as hurricanes can be, I think I'm okay with that, because at least where the parks are located, it's a little bit safer than being on the coast. And there's a reason why they built the parks there. There's a huge reason why they built the parks there, and the weather is one of those reasons. So I think I can do that, because the trade-off would be, okay, well, I get a hurricane every year, a couple hurricanes every year, versus an unpredictable earthquake that could be extremely devastating, extremely devastating. And wildfires. We have fires every year. It's just like all right, it's going to be another fire season, and these past fires that we had were horrible. So I'm trading that for hurricanes. So I mean, yeah, they're both not the best, but I'm okay. I think I can live with that. I'm okay with living with a few hurricanes every single season, whether they be big or small. And I'm okay with just the weather in general throughout the year. I think I could live with that, because like I said, I've been there so many times that like I've already gotten used to it. I've already gotten used to the crazy weather. I don't mind wearing shorts every day. I don't really have an issue with the humidity, like some other people might have an issue with it. So it's definitely not for everybody. But for me, I can do it. Another really big one in the comment section was, will I be, coming back to California to still talk about these parks from time to time? And the answer is yes. I'm very thankful that I do have places to stay here in California. My mom's living out here in Southern California. I have a lot of friends and other family that are here in Southern California. So if I need a place to stay while I'm out here covering Disneyland or Magic Mountain or whatever, I don't have to worry about that. And essentially the tables will just be turned. So right now, for those that have been watching me for a while, you know that I frequent Orlando, a lot throughout the year. And, I go out there for an X amount of time, I get some videos, and then I come back. And then the bulk of my videos is here in California. Well, again, those tables will be turned if I moved out in Orlando. The bulk of my videos would be based in, Florida. And then from time to time, I'd have videos from Southern California. And then obviously I'd have like other destinations and stuff like that because I want to cover all the parks. But yeah, we're just flipping this scenario. Most of my content's going to be from Walt Disney World and Universal Studios and SeaWorld and Busch Gardens. And then sometimes you'll see some Disneyland, Magic Mountain, Knott's Berry Farm videos. And when it comes to content, the other beauty about living out there in Orlando for me is I can have easier access to the parks on the East Coast. So like, not on the East Coast, but on the eastern side of the country, like Dollywood, Kings Dominion, Kings Island, Cedar Point, Hershey Park, Knoebels, Six Flags Great Adventure, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. There's so many parks that I can literally drive to within a day or within 2 days. I can get to these parks and be in a general area. Like my bestie up in Michigan. I could drive to Michigan if I wanted to visit her and her family and hang out. And then we can go to Cedar Point. We can go over to Canada's Wonderland, Michigan's Adventure, Six Flags Great America. It's a lot easier for me to traverse that side of the country if I'm living in Orlando. And that means more content for you. Like the whole goal of my channel was I really want to travel around the world and everywhere to go to as many parks as possible. I mean, that has been my goal since day one, because I'm a hardcore nerd. I'm a hardcore theme park enthusiast, like so hardcore that nearly every day I'm doing this. So yeah, I would love to see other parks, and not just in America, but around the world. And right now it's just hard because the economy's just, it's going through it. And I try to save up as much money as possible. And I always keep my fingers crossed that everyone's going to watch the videos and stuff to help me out. But living in Florida, I know I'm going to save some money long term. And I know I'm going to be closer to those other parks, which then opens up another door for more content here on the platform, which that's what we got to do as YouTubers. We got to feed the beast as much as possible. And thankfully, I love doing what I'm doing, so I don't mind filming a bunch of random theme parks every single week. And I think living in Florida makes it that much easier. Just being able to drive to Dollywood within a day. I can drive to Dollywood within a day. That's awesome. And for those that have been to Dollywood, Dollywood's awesome. Like Dollywood is like the Disneyland in the Smoky Mountains. I would love it. The fact that I can drive to Dollywood, like knowing that I would be able to drive to Dollywood in a day, I would be there like almost every weekend. I would do it in a weekend. I'd be like, let's go spend a weekend at Dollywood. Or even like Carowinds. I can drive up to Carowinds and ride that beautiful Giga Coaster they got there. I can ride Fury. If I really wanted to, if I wanted to spend the weekend up there, I could go ride Fury and have a blast. That to me sounds so much fun. Here in California, I really can't do that. I can drive up to Lagoon, up in Utah, which, by the way, it's on my list. I know a lot of you want me to visit Lagoon. I can drive up north to CGA, which I probably should because that park is closing here soon, and Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. But those are only a couple parks. On that side of the country, it's like a majority of them, a majority. So, yeah. I really am thinking about that scenario too. And that's a huge determining factor for me. Again, especially because I got to keep doing my thing on YouTube. I don't want to stop doing this. So I'm always trying to figure out ways to keep it going, because this is it's a dream scenario. I'm so thankful I get to do this for a living. It's a theme park enthusiast dream come true, it's awesome. So I want to keep it going, and I want to live in a place where not only am I surrounded by that stuff, but the maximum amount of it, but I can get in a car and drive to a dozen other parks within a day. That to me sounds fun. Oh, and also, since I'm like a Halloween psychopath, I could drive to Netherworld in Georgia. For those that know what Netherworld is, dude, it's like one of the best haunted houses in America. Heck yeah, I'm going to drive to that if I lived in Orlando. Are you kidding me? So yeah, there's going to be a lot of content if I live over in Orlando. Financially, it makes sense. Just makes sense for what I do for a living. And another big thing people talked about were the cruises. They're like, a lot of you were like, hey, you could do a cruise now. Because, just drive down to the port there and hop on a Disney cruise or whatever. Now, I'm a little iffy when it comes to cruises. If I was going to do one, it'd probably be a Disney cruise because it's great, for the channel, and a lot of you ask about them. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. It's an easier possibility to do a Caribbean cruise or whatever from Florida. So yeah, that again opens up the door for even more content here on the channel. I mean, it's endless. I want to be able to get to the point where like every day is something different, and I think that's very possible out in Orlando. So yeah, cruise stuff might be on the table if I'm in Orlando, which is exciting for a lot of you watching. But yeah, and then a lot of other comments that I got were, like, oh, we'll miss you in California. And say, hey, I'm gonna miss all of you guys from California too. I'm gonna miss it. But thankfully, there's still some time. I'm not packing it up tomorrow. We're talking months down the road. So nobody panic. And I really do appreciate people saying that, like, I'm one of their favorite YouTubers in the theme park space that they watch out here. Like that really means a lot. Because to be honest, like, YouTube is a vicious beast. It is very vicious. It's very competitive, and you deal with a lot of crazy stuff. You gotta have thick skin for this job. you gotta get used to a bunch of different things. But when I read comments that say like, you're one of our favorites and we just love you, like that really does mean so much to me. Like that, it reassures me, especially in times that I'm like a little depressed and sad and, whatever. When I see those comments from you guys on YouTube or even on Instagram, it really does uplift me. So I appreciate it so much. And I just want all of you guys to understand that. I want you all to understand that stuff does not get unnoticed. I'm always keeping it real and straight up, and I do my best to try to get to all of you as much as possible. I don't have a team of people, it's just myself. Some other people in this space actually have teams of people. I don't. What you see is all done from me. I do everything from my phone, and yeah, I make it work every single week. So when I see those comments, it does keep me going, and it reminds me that, like, yeah, I want to keep doing this forever. So, well, until I get too old and I can't do this stuff anymore. But those comments on that previous video were very, very positive, and I'm definitely gonna miss California for sure. But like a lot of you also said, I can always come back, and I can live out in Florida for a couple years or whatever. And if I don't dig it, I can come back to California. California will always be here, and so will Orlando. The option is there. But the more and more I'm thinking about it, I think I'm going to be really happy in Orlando. I think it's also going to be a good like reset for the channel too. What would be cool about Orlando is like, awesome. This is a fresh start, reset. Here we go on a new ride. Buckle up, pull on the yellow safety tab. We're going. And I think that to me just sounds so exciting. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that I can make it work. Again, I got to save a lot of money, and I'm going to do my best to provide fun and engaging content for all of you that not only I enjoy watching, but all of you enjoy watching. So we'll see what happens after Halloween. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I really want to make this happen. I think it's time for me to move on, because a lot of you also said, hey, you only have one life to live. That's it. We only got one shot. We're only here on the planet once. And then the next adventure starts. Whatever that adventure is going to be. But for the time being, here and now, I think that's what I want to do. So I think that's going to be the decision. And I'll probably do another video in the next couple months, just kind of checking back in with all of you about the Orlando move. I'll definitely be back out in Orlando, hopefully soon. I would love to go back out. So please give this video a thumbs up. If you want me to move to Orlando, give it a thumbs up, super chat, whatever, you know, do what you got to do. I will appreciate all of it. It's going to be a fun and exciting ride this summer and into the fall and into the new year. There's going to be so many cool things, so I can't wait. And I recently just got some good news. It was like a week ago, so I can't really talk about it here on the video, but I will say it's just very good news that involves the theme park space, and it came out of left field. So I'm happy about that. So things are looking positive, especially in a time where, you know, there's a lot of big question marks. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. I think Orlando is on the horizon as far as my permanent residence. But I hope you enjoyed this little chit chat. Feel free to drop a comment down below. I might not get to all of them, but I read them. I try to read as many as possible. So feel free to drop one down below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And be sure to follow me over on Instagram and X. I post a lot on both of those platforms, so be sure to do that. But until the next video, I hope you have a beautiful day, morning, evening, whatever it is. And I'll see you next time in the parks. Bye.